I'll fill it out. I'll just do like I did for Doug, I just put it in your road and then take another meeting. That's gonna
I'll check what
You guys,
I mean, like I said, I'm
only about 4 minutes for me still.
I heard about it.
like I said, I don't care. I mean, I'm not gonna turn it on. Is she on? Probably not. Rainy and stuff like that, but.
I think Kane's,
Yeah.
fire station too, but John Crawford told me.
Okay. So, couple hundred.
So John kind of sent him this
Down
day,
in,
where we're gonna do Dave, and that's about all I know about it, so.
what are we gonna,
In library.
what are we gonna put them under, other or?
That's it.
You sell them for $25 a book, yeah, or?
Do it first?
Yeah.
What do you first?
John wants to talk, I got 7 coming over here in a little bit.
We've been doing it for years.
Anyway, let's go ahead and Chief Mason and make his report, and then we'll walk outside. And take
Is
a
Cos
picture.
on duty today?
But,
Is Cos, is he bringing it over?
Ryan Crable's bringing it up,
Is he? Okay.
because he wanted to see Dad.
wow, what an honor.
What,
Value added.
What are you bringing over? What are you bringing over, Martin?
Truck 7, just so council can look at it, we're gonna talk about replacing it.
See how they crap it you made on it.
Well, let's get this thing started, it's 5:31.
You know they've been beating it with a hammer all week.
We don't have to beat it with a hammer.
Vandalism report.
Tear it up.
Okay.
All good?
I believe so.
All right, 5:31, Chief Mason, you're up.
Send this out.
I'll start off with our statistics for 2014, month of June. Average month, 1,346 calls for service, 136 on the offense reports, again an average month. A little higher than average on arrests for those numbers, but my guys have been, our guys I should say, have been very busy looking for things, keep things going. You see accidents, it's average month, not high, not low. Citations were low this month, probably because they were busy making arrests, is all they did. And then for overtime usage, June 13,563. Year to date, we're at 75,932. Still think we'll probably make it through the year okay on that. Alarms, 33 total, 6 residential, 27 commercial. That's a big jump from last month of over 10, I believe. Probably some of those due to poor or bad weather. The new cars are all completed with their installs and in service. Patrolman MD has expressed his appreciation many times for his new K9 vehicle. So I wanted to pass that appreciation on to all of you here. And we've received many positive comments on the new graphics for the cars from law enforcement and citizens alike. They think that the new looks very clean and they like it.
Yep.
We sold 2.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
did Patrolman MD, did he get all his storage unit things in there set up and everything?
Yes, he did. As a matter of fact, I probably need to ask him maybe next safety committee meeting to roll that around so you guys can take a look at it and see how nicely set up it is, what a nice vehicle it is. It's really nice, it really is. That's the first new vehicle we bought for him. He's always been given one that's been used before we traded in, and he's been babying it, so I think he should get several years out of that vehicle, barring any major complications with that model, but they are flying off the shelves. All of the police agencies in Central Ohio, the major ones we have, Franklin County, Dublin, Columbus PD didn't even buy sedans this year. They're buying those, putting those into regular service instead of sedans because they're so much larger. They mean there's so much more space interior-wise with it. And as it's now a pursuit-rated vehicle, where the old ones you always had to worry about rollover with those SUV styles, this is the first pursuit-rated SUV, so much safer. And then, of course, it's all-wheel drive too, so you're getting that added advantage mileage on our snowy streets in the winter.
Yeah. First of all, Chief, I love your musical accompaniment.
I know how to shut the damn thing off.
We gotta get you trained on how to use that.
Should have given him a smartphone.
I wanted to mention, 4th of July weekend, I was heading east on I-70 and I saw Highway Patrol with, I guess it's a Ford Explorer type vehicle. I saw Highway Patrol, using it in lieu of more traditional patrol, cars on the highway. So that seems to be a trend. I'll be interested to hear what Patrolman MD's opinion is as far as its performance driving, high speed in town here, that kind of thing. I know from time to time he's got to get there quick, so I'll be interested to hear what he thinks of how it performs, because if I remember correctly, the price on that, without it being upfitted for canine duty, the price on it was not that much different than the Charger.
Yeah, it was not that much different than the Chargers or the other sedans as far as price-wise. They have some other options. You can get a larger motor and whatnot, but we didn't feel the need for that. And he's already had it in service for a few weeks, and he's very pleased. I asked him about performance. He said it doesn't have the get up and go that the Charger has, but it's still plenty. And he said it just handles like a dream.
Did you see the insurance report on it?
Yeah.
And the, what's the other one? Not the Explorer, the smaller one.
You're talking about
Ford.
the Ford Escape,
No, not the Escape.
the Edge.
Edge. Edge, and that one was the highest stolen cars in the country.
Wow. Yeah, I can believe it. I mean, it's a desirable vehicle. It's very well done. I think Ford did a really good job on it. So, knock on wood.
One of the better made ones.
The 2 used cars have been sold. Keith did a good job for us there. The Charger Police. We were looking for 8,000 to 10,000 is what the experts were telling me. He got 7,900. So that was a pretty good sale on the Charger there. Probably could have gotten more if it wasn't, number one, a smelly canine car, and number 2 was missing the door panels from the sides from where we had the canine cage installed, but still 7,900. I mean, that's terrific.
And it's
Very
blue.
pleased. Yes, and it was one of the blue ones. Yeah. Looked good once those stickers got off, didn't it? I was asked last committee meeting, Mr. Crable asked me to take a look and see what the median has done for us, and wanted me to bring some stats in. So I had Karen Kelly, our wonderful clerk, do I asked her to get some numbers for me. She made a really nice report, just went overboard. If you look,
Chief, hold on just a second.
Sure.
Council members, do you have copies of that? I know it was what you had included to
Yeah.
me. I had instructed Lynn to only send to the media the agenda.
Okay.
I thought we'd go ahead and let me make copies of that for everybody. And I can,
Yeah, we don't have I copies. saw an email, I didn't see. We don't have any copies.
yeah. Let me make copies. Of
Okay.
it.
You want me to go do it?
I'll just move on to the legislative requests, and I guess we'll come back to that. Let's see. The first is I'm requesting a transfer of $1,569 from capital improvements and police capital outlay to cover cost overages for the installation and setup of 2 new Dodge Charger police vehicles, and the 3rd vehicle would be Ford left on there. When I discussed the plan with Chief Shepherd as to what needed to be new, what needed to be used, what needed to be replaced, he said he would take care of all the information. I don't know if he took poor notes or what, but there were some items that he left off. And he did poor math, apparently. And when he came in for his original capital improvements request of $99,000, he had missed some items on that, and that's what the cost overages were. There were items that were planned for, but he didn't ask for enough money to cover the total. Yeah, there were some things on the Ford that,
So it's 2 new Dodge Chargers and
the Ford, yeah, there was things on all 3 vehicles that he had not counted in and not counted for his initial request for capital improvements that he had done. The money was, put that fund into a negative number when we paid the last bill. And when I went back through and did a recounting of everything that we got, it was minus that number.
Very good. Any questions on that?
Sir, would you like a copy of this?
And I'll say, when I found these things out, I discussed it with Mayor John to let him know what was going on. There was a few other things that, I think I came in here and I asked for the truck vault capital improvements because he hadn't planned for that. God bless Tony, I think he had, his mind on drag racing and retirement, and, maybe was a little, went a little too quickly and missed his numbers up. Well, so one of those was $900. Mistake was on Ford's side. Ford called me after we had picked up the new Ford and brought it, and already were in possession of it, and had cut our purchase orders, and said, we made a mistake on that car and didn't charge you. We messed up $900 on the final, because where the final tally was, it said X amount of dollars, and he had done bad math and cheated themselves out of $900. And so I went to Heath and said, Heath, we paid the requested amount. He said, yes, we did, but let's be good neighbors and good citizens, and we'll go ahead and make good for the $900. So there was a few things there that I discovered along the path that was kind of shocking. He said, we'll go ahead and pay the $900. The next is an appropriation of $1,190 within the general funds of police training and registration. We signed Norman up to Sergeant Rame up twice for this school and paid twice for the school. This money was refunded back to us, went into the general fund, and we'd just like to get it back into our training fund.
The second one.
That's the second one there, sir. There's the
That's
third
a, you
one.
went out of order, but that's okay.
Okay.
We're with you. We got you. You just
Yeah, I'm
keep
sorry,
rolling.
I did
Keep
go out of
rolling.
order, I apologize. And the last one is the big one. It's transfer of $11,642.95 from capital improvements into police capital outlay for the purchase and installation of 2 E.F. Johnson radios onto the city radio system. These radios we used for Marks Communications with all of our agencies that have now transitioned to Marks in the county. There are Pataskala PD, Newark Police Department, the Licking County Sheriff's Office, are all onto Mark's system on the law enforcement side. On the fire side, we have several agencies on the fire side that's already went there, including Newark Fire Department. And now the 911 Center's main dispatch frequency, I think they're simulcasting in 800 Marks and the VHF main at this point. But at some point, I assume they're going to try and push everybody off the VHF and onto 800 of some type. Now, as the backup 911 center, we don't have the ability at this point to dispatch for any of those agencies that are Marks, because we're not on the Mark system. So,
If we're doing do we get compensated? I know I've asked this before, but I'm trying to refresh this. Do we get compensated for being the backup 911 center?
our main compensation is that we're the only other PSAP in the county, which is primary service answering point.
Got it.
Anywhere in the city, Heath, you pick up the phone and you dial 911, it rings directly to us.
Right.
It does not go through the 911 center.
I'm just wondering why we have to foot the bill.
In
to be the
the
backup
agreement,
911 center.
in the agreement we have with them, we agree on the radio side that we would purchase those things.
We do.
On the hardware and software side for computers, now they're supposed to keep our hardware as far as the servers and the CAD dispatching stations updated, which they failed to do at this point because they're I guess, so extremely busy over there, they keep putting off a meeting with me to answer my questions as to why our servers and our CAD stations haven't been updated at this point. But that doesn't relieve us of our responsibility of being the backup 911 center. Like, we need to move forward with this so that we can be the backup 911 center fully, not just in name, and protect the citizens of the county as best we can while they're working out whatever issues they have at the 911 center. If we do this upgrade, then we'll be able to do that. I also am in talks with, or I have reached out to and had response from Captain Slayman to Licking County Sheriff's Office about a reciprocal or a backup agreement with the Licking County Sheriff's Office to be their backup. I think that the fire discipline at this point are moving and pushing very hard, and Marcus probably could tell you, to move the fire side back up to the next center, which is now Gahanaway.
Yes.
If they succeed in doing that at some point in the future, they don't have police dispatching there. They only have fire dispatching there. They don't have any plans to change that. So if the 911 center would have a catastrophe and have to go down, and they would have to move, the sheriff's office wouldn't have any place to go. So I've reached out to them, and hopefully work out some type of a reciprocal agreement with them to get something. I understand what you're saying, what do we get for it, but I think we're protecting the citizens here in Licking County more than anything, and we've agreed, and we'll keep up on. I think this keeps up our part of the agreement until such time they have something else.
Any other questions? Mayor? You good with that?
Okay.
Yeah, I think,
You good?
you can't correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there an article in the Advocate maybe a couple of weeks ago that described a recent incident where our department basically was using cell phones to communicate with others?
Yeah.
We don't want that situation.
Okay, that's fine, just make sure.
Our dispatch center, we need to be able to communicate on these marks frequencies in order. It's a public safety issue, really more than anything. And whether you like it, whether you don't like it, whether you think we ought to, be on marks as an area, whether you think we ought to stay on VHF, whether you think we ought to be using smoke signals. The fact is that we all need to be able to communicate effectively, all the agencies in this area. And so, like the chief said, I agree with him. I view this as simply, our responsibility for the safety and well-being of the people in Heath.
It's also a good transition point to help us when and if we should have to transition fully to marks for police and fire. Those will already be there in the console programmed and ready to go for our dispatch center. And this will give us the ability, also OSP, which we haven't had the ability to speak with in a very long time. We can get the Ohio State Patrol Granville into that radio as well as a lot of other state agencies. They have those mutual aid channels that are going to become available. So if we have to work with the state EMA or any of those state agencies, we'll work with and speak with.
Any other questions?
Chief, do you have any, you said you made the request, I assume it's under advisement, they're considering that idea, the sheriff's office for dispatch.
Yeah, Captain Slayman said that they're in the middle of discussing some things with the 911 center and trying to get everything finalized there with them. And then he would like to meet with me and discuss that. He was grateful for the opportunity because he feels that they're going to the next center and that would leave them kind of out in the hole.
Yeah.
As to having a good backup spot. So,
Yeah.
And with that, if we can have Heath and Newark and the sheriff's office work out some nice plan, we can all sit down together at some point and discuss reciprocal agreements in multiple scenarios for travesties such as tornadoes, straight line winds, the things we've experienced where, you know, our communication systems in the county have been damaged, and we've had to fall back on our backup plans.
Okay.
Just I have the median report to go through. And I just would like to say, I think that the 911 center wants to meet with me on the hardware and software things. It's just that they've got their plates pretty full, and I think when they've cleared it to the point that they feel they can talk intelligent with me about it, I think they're gonna contact me about that.
And this is a reimbursable, am I correct in understanding?
I'm sorry.
This is a reimbursable expense?
The radio?
No, it's not.
It is not a reimbursement.
No.
Radio communications was not part of the agreement. Hardware and software, as far as workstations and servers and whatnot, are.
The PSAP switch itself is part of that too.
Yes,
right?
yeah, that's part of what they maintain us with. As far as our radio system, we're responsible for it, and always have been. As far as onto the median report, I think you'll see 2010 to 2014 in 5 years of comparison. You'll see 2010 we had a total number of accidents in the median area. This is concerning the median area only from Andover Road to Parkview Drive. 58 total accidents, and 10 were down last year, or down in 2013 to 35 accidents there. And we're halfway through the year and we're at 17, so I think we're gonna ring in about the same, so that was a drop of 23 total accidents. In the breakdowns, you'll see actually was kind of pleasing to me last year is the ACDA, or failing to maintain assured clear distance ahead accidents, actually dropped. But the big number that they wanted to control was right of way when turning left, and you'll see that's at 0. Those were the worst accidents we had out there, because you're talking about T-bones or broadside accidents, where there's not as much protection for the driver or the passengers when you get hit sideways versus head on in the rear end. The cars are much more stable. So you can see that went from a number of 7 in 2010 down to 0.
We had a fatality, what, 10, 15 years ago on a T-bone?
You know, there has been some side impact in different areas.
There
There at the corner of
I'm trying to think.
Putnam and 79.
Putnam.
We
and
had
then
a
you
fatality on a T-bone.
You had a pedestrian struck there in front of my Hopewell line.
Yeah. I did, yes.
Glad to see also that we're down to 0 on the single vehicle crossing 79 construction ditch. I'm not quite sure why we had 2 in 2012, because those were pretty clearly marked, but I'm glad to see that those are down to 0.
Well, I can tell you during that time frame, people were getting used to that, and they did try to drive places there used to be driveways, but there weren't. And we also had some of them that's been in the median and over the median, but I think those days are gone as well. We had some damage to the median. We had some of those standing poles that were knocked over and knocked off, but they seem to have that under control now. Everybody's getting used to the traffic flow and the patterns, and I less and less hear people complain about it, but it's done its job in my opinion.
The rear-end collisions are the ACDA.
Yes.
Right, that's,
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was actually pleased to see that drop. I hope that trend continues, because that's generally from inattention and just driving too fast for conditions, being unable to stop. So,
appreciate you
Keep it
putting that
close.
together. It's always nice to see the safety aspect of that project as opposed to just the beautification process. Thank you.
that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Chief? Okay, we'll move on to fire at 554. Chief Shepherd, Huggins? You're up.
Do we want?
Yes, we have a guest we're gonna add this to the agenda. I guess that, John Draw wanted to add this to, Chief Huggins' agenda because it has to do with the drainage at station number 2. Is that correct?
Correct.
So, sir, if you could just kind of state your name and your address for us, so we have that.
And then Doug Hall, live right beside the fire station on Blackfoot. And 7 years ago, there was a, what they call a swale, a ditch. It's probably 2 feet wide, and maybe 15 feet long, maybe 20 feet long. It was put in, dug down, and then rocks were put in it. That's to catch the water. It was running off of the vacant lot behind the fire station, because it would come down our driveway and wash out the gravel. So they put it in 7 years ago, and I called Dave Pennington and met with him, and he said I need to meet with all 3 of us with John Groff. And all I was saying was, when we had these heavy rains here lately, I was up there with umbrella, and the ditch is kind of like filled in now, needs cleaned out. And I told John just need cleaned out. Well, he wanted to take it on further than that, he said. So I don't know. I'm okay, clean it out. I'm not asking for it. Just clean it out. He said there's short people in the street department, and they kind of didn't want to keep the street department involved in it.
What is it full of right now? Just silt or?
Like weeds and stuff. Yeah, soil, I guess, is eroded into it, and then weeds are growing up.
Okay.
It is a little bit, but not.
Like it was.
It's not as effective as it was.
Yeah, I'm not asking for what John, he said he didn't want to come in every 7 years and clean it out. Well, I'm not, he said something about putting a permanent drain in there. Well, that's just me. I mean, that's major money. You ask me.
Did he tell you, talk to you about this at all, man?
No,
Chief, did he tell you anything?
He just stopped by the other day, and I he just basically said that Mr. Hall was coming and he was gonna turn this one over to, he had mentioned that something with the street department and they were busy and limited on manpower, but it was washing some of the gravel out of the driveway and needed some attention. But yeah, I think there was a little bit of misunderstanding on John's part or whatever, but as far as how extensive this was, I can't even tell you what you're talking about, to be honest with you. I know we did some drainage work down below the generators and around the perimeter of the station, but this is up on the hilltop of your driveway then.
Right. Well, our driveway goes to the left. It's right there on your land where they mow.
Yeah, that's where it is.
I didn't think about it. I could have brought pictures. I did.
Did you,
Initially, before they put it in, I did all that.
did Dave come up and take a look at it? Dustin? He did, okay, I think that's.
He was there.
That's what we need to do.
And
He was there when
go up and
it
take a
was.
look at it.
I know, but Dave needs to go back up and take a look and see, you know.
Yeah, I'm okay
If we
with
can
cleaning
use-
it out. I mean,
If we can use our people to get it.
well, right. I
done.
mean, I'm not here to ask the city to spend a major amount of money for.
We appreciate that.
Yeah,
we
did this,
I mean, I want to
trench,
get
did the
John.
trench run parallel with your driveway, clear down to the roadway?
No, it just runs
East-west.
about. Let's say it runs probably 20 feet from your generator up
Okay.
is where it
Okay.
stops. Where it starts.
But it runs parallel to your driveway there.
Sort of parallel. It goes like a little angle like that.
Okay.
Like our driveway probably goes up like that, and this goes. Well, yeah, it's more or less parallel.
Okay.
Do you think the mound, when we put the pine trees in,
Right.
do you think that has any effect on that runoff? As far as damming and turning it more towards your driveway?
No, I don't think so. I think you need that before it doesn't run over your.
Well, as I said, we dug and put perimeter tile down in there because I was sitting in a hole to begin with, so that addressed that.
Yeah, I've been out there here last week or so when we had some hard rains, watching, and a lot of it's on our side. But I'm just trying to. It's going into our shed, but That has nothing to do with, it's going down, our driveway is sloped to like this because it's run down the driveway so much, the driveway's dropped. And
Let me get over there tomorrow and take a look at what we're talking about, and
yeah, that's no problem.
from that point, then I'll get a hold of Bennington, and then the three of us will get together.
We can get to the streets and drainage meets next week, and, you know, we could bring that up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take much to clean it out anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it, I mean.
I wouldn't
I'm
think you
meeting
just pull the
I'm meeting
stone
with
back
Dave
out
and Bob tomorrow, Chief.
and filter it somehow.
I just need to go and take it, because I didn't, to be honest with you, I remember John coming over, but I didn't go over there
Yeah.
and investigate, so.
Is this something, Mr. Hall, that you, is this something that's really kind of become noticeable this year, or was it also a nuisance last year?
It's been a nuisance for, oh, you mean not working properly?
You know, yeah.
So.
Okay.
I'm just trying to tighten anything I can to save, because like I say, the water, our driveway has sloped and now the water's coming down because the land's all shifts in years and it's going into our shed. So me and my dad pulled a dike up like by our shed. I went up to 64 metals and got some siding and dug down in, put that down in to alleviate the water from going in there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. I'll be up tomorrow and take a look at
Our
it.
driveway's not even put in proper anyhow. I mean, we should have knocked the bank down like the fire station did when they put it in. Because our bank was just like the other side. The fire station had trees up there. They knocked that down, and we still got one up here. Someday I'd like to take that off and the driveway will level back out.
Is that your land also as you continue to go down Blackfoot down the hill there? Is that your land beside?
Down below.
Yeah, that's pretty wet back in there too.
Yeah, I just started getting,
There's got to be a lot of natural springs up
Yeah,
in
there
those
is.
hills, and
Yeah.
Property line goes up the center of the driveway, if I
Correct.
recall. So, I mean, that's,
okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'll be
Yeah,
over tomorrow and
let's.
take a look at it.
You want me to meet you over there, or
Give me a time.
you give me time? I'm not free tomorrow. So.
Like I said, I'm meeting with Bob and Dave at 10. If you can meet with him earlier in the morning, then they can just be part of it.
Okay. And you're gonna meet with them here?
We got another topic that we're going to discuss
see
at 10. Yeah, it'll be
9
here.
o'clock tomorrow, over at Station 2.
And I was gonna ask too, I might ask you tomorrow, but those pine trees, them branches are getting super long. I'd be willing, free of charge, to knock some of them, just the bottom, that's all, and take them up.
I mean, that's,
Is that tomorrow when you're there?
yeah, we'll look at that too.
Yeah.
We have chainsaws. As a matter of fact, we can do something.
I can call them up,
Okay.
guys, whatever, so. All right, we have to keep it not looking nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
We appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We appreciate the input.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right,
Have a good
thank you.
evening.
Okay.
Boy, we need more people like that. Jeez.
Okey doke.
Sound like he just wanted to
Doesn't
do it,
matter
he
where
just
we
wanted
go.
permission.
Okay, good evening, fire report. 2014 compared to the same time 2013, you can see 40 versus 36, 185 EMS calls versus 161, and then transports dramatically brought us back.
I say they finally caught up.
Caught up within one run. Fire calls were up about, I don't know, what, 56, and EMS calls are down a little bit, 20. Mutual aids, 27 given, received 18. A couple of those air evac, and a couple of the fire runs were rescue team calls for the month of June. And responded on quite a few water rescue situations.
Chief, it
yes, sir.
seems like a couple things. First of all, countywide, it seems like there's been an unusually high number of fatal car crashes lately. You noticing that too?
There's no way to predict that. I've noticed that the number of drownings for small children is just exceptionally high.
Yeah.
When you look at it, and especially in Licking County, that doesn't experience a lot of drownings. Have you done anything on that, or?
Did Anna's story run where she talked to the folks that have volunteered to do the swim lessons for such a long period of time back here at the pool. I think that was maybe Wednesday or something that Anna was over there talking to them. She thought maybe it would run maybe Friday, but I know, LeBron James made his announcement, so that.
I can't remember.
Do you know of her story, Rand?
I'm not sure.
Because part of it, Chief talked about that idea. We've had, ever since the water park opened, we've had Red Cross swim lessons over there, and more than focusing on how to do a good backstroke or freestyle swim, it's more of an emphasis on being able to handle yourself in a proper way if you do find yourself in the water. And it's a shame when you see drownings like that happen, because kids can be taught at an extremely young age what to do. When we moved to Florida, Audra wasn't. She was probably 1 year. She was probably one. I don't think she was 2. No, there's no way she was 2. We had her, working with somebody in a private pool. This lady would have kids. Parents would bring the kid, and she would teach. Like I said, Audra was maybe 1.5. She'd go in the water. Audra knew to come back up and get on her back like this and kind of look over her head and start kicking. It was amazing. She could hardly talk, but she knew what to do in the water. So, maybe if more parents took advantage of things like that for their kids and for themselves, that maybe it would help to alleviate these kind of situations.
Yes, I know. A number of years ago, of course, Phoenix, Arizona has a high number of pools, and they were experiencing a lot of juvenile drownings in the pools, because about every house had it. And the fire department started a campaign and tried to educate the public. But I don't think right now it's something that the Heath Fire Department needs to try to educate. We have had a drowning since last we met. But it's something from a county perspective, or Red Cross, like you said, you had something going on here at the pool, but I don't know where really to start with that.
Yeah.
But in many cases, at least the cases we've had in Licking County, have been just kids wandering away and falling into one end of the creek.
Yeah.
Call them rivers around here, but they're creeks.
Yeah.
One, of course, was a small child in the swimming pool.
What creek was that on?
The Deanna Stroll.
Yeah, Deanna Stroll. But there was one recently in Newark too, right, where a kid in a water detention area or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, I was gonna say Newton had 2 within about a week, same age, and then a couple in Columbus in the swimming pools. I think one was a birthday party. The other day was the ice cream truck, and it's just sad. They're all 4 and below in age, and just how can you have a party and have a lot of people around, and yet a kid fall in the pool and be laying on the bottom and nobody sees the child, and it just.
A buddy's mom asked her about the kid she'd go swimming with. She said he ain't going around that water till he learns to swim. Oh, my mom, she said, don't ask me.
It's just so easy, and it's just a dreadful accident.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll get doom and gloom here, but it is a sad situation. Mutual aids we've covered. Legislative requests, I have several. One is I have exhausted our, and I'll back up a little bit, of course, we talked about it in past tense, replacing the tires on the tower, and I was going to do that slowly but surely. My mechanic and I had some great debates over the tires in general. And so we called Michelin. And this was something I didn't know, nor did Captain Kozlowski, but especially heavy fire apparatus. Michelin has done research, and about 10 years is as long as, and of course, the first thing you say is, well, they want to sell tires. But there have been several articles that have come out in the fire magazines recently about fire apparatus due to their weight sitting on the steel belts and things can, even if they're sitting stationary in the station, it does harm. It just, age and weight take a toll on it. That was the case with our Tower 10. Those tires were coming up, they were manufactured in 2002. We replaced them just recently. So, they had 12 years on them. We've got fire apparatus that have got 15 plus years. In the early days, we ran them forever. We didn't replace them because fire apparatus notoriously don't log a lot of miles, age-wise, but it would be nothing. And I was telling Cause, I had stood in fire stations and looked at the tires on other fire trucks and thought, I'd never run our trucks. I mean, dry rotted and the treads coming off on some of this stuff, but I mean, it boils down to having the money to do it in some cases. But Michelin has done research, and their recommendation is maximum of 10 years on fire apparatus. Check with Granville. Granville follows that policy, and that's something we're going to do. Our reserve medic, we're running the Granville just borrowed. But
I got that message.
yeah, I made sure they knew the tires were old, but those were 98 vintage tires. So anyway, we've run them, but I had in 2005 our engine one. I was coming back from a repair center in Columbus, and I had a tire blow out for no unknown reason. Fortunately, I was driving and
Wait, was it no unknown, or is it an unknown?
Unknown.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, they fixed that tire knowing I was going to. But right there,
age and weight.
right in there. Oh my God! You're so abused.
See, you go first next time, and then you can leave, and then you don't have to take that one.
He's picked up from Tony.
Oh,
Very
yeah. No, he's taking Tony to a whole other level.
I think he's raised the bar.
You
may have raised the bar.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, long story short, I'm going to start rotating tires and things. We have already depleted due to the fire software and paying 2 companies, blah, blah, blah. We've had a really rough year, and I've depleted my budget for equipment repair that everything has come out of. Anything that anybody else has to do for us, between the tower and all. I'm requesting an additional $25,000 to be added to my maintenance account for equipment repair. We will do it as sparingly as possible and try to, I won't try to spend that if I can help it, but
How much were the tires for Tower 10?
might as well figure about $800 at minimum a tire for the trucks. Right now, there's at least 17 tires that need to be replaced.
On Tower 10?
No,
Okay.
on
I was gonna say,
equipment
yeah,
beyond that 10-year time frame. And so right now, I'm replacing steering tires on some of the trucks that need it, and we're going from there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's just 17's an odd number. I don't know if there's 3 or 5 vehicles.
Well, because
Yeah,
I
you just have a good
blew
one.
one out.
Also, that doesn't need to be replaced.
No. But
Does anybody besides Michelin make these tires?
there are, but Michelin makes, in our opinion, as good a tire as you could get. And we've we've had very good luck with the radial tires on the fire trucks versus bias plies and things. So that's just something that we have run as long as I can remember. And
Well,
paid
that's only a couple of months. Wait, your memory's.
Oh, man!
we getting all this.
Don't bring your memory into this.
So anyway,
Is that a state bid system for those Michelin's, Mark? Do they have
Yes.
state
Goodyear
prices
doesn't
and
have
all that?
anything.
You get the advantage there.
yeah, we can put Bridgestones.
Goodyear,
As far as heavy duty,
Goodyear. I mean, none of these other.
we have
How does the
always,
state bid that? I mean, do they go with?
we get a state bid price on the tire.
No, but I mean, is there for, this certain tire, is there a Michelin state bid? Is there a Goodyear state bid? Is there a Bridgestone state bid?
I'm
Is
sure
there?
there is, Mary, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Goodyear bids all the police vehicles, but you gotta buy performance tires. So Goodyear's known for performance tires, where I think Michelin's probably better known for the durability and whatnot and heavier applications.
But that are some questions that my Captain Cos could answer,
Yeah.
probably better than I can, as far as why we have run those. But as I said,
That is a good make of tire.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I'm requesting an additional 25. I'll try not to spend it all, but I'm gonna need. I'm down. I robbed Peter to pay Paul just to pay for the truck tires off of the tower. That account currently has about $1,000 in it. I couldn't get a true balance today. Becky had school today. Is that correct? She's still in
Becky
school.
was here.
Becky, I tried numerous times.
She was busy. A little short staff up front, so
Okay.
she was running around quite a bit.
Okay, anybody else have any other questions? Doug? Mary, are we good there in the general fund?
Do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have tires blowing out.
Well, I mean,
This
this
isn't to
is
do
just-
all the tires, this is just to replenish your fund, and you're gonna kind of ease into the tire thing.
Yes, but but I'm gonna definitely, anything that's beyond 10 years of age, I'm gonna replace it, at least the front steering tires. And as I said, we'll ease into that. Initially, we're gonna ask for 30, but, we have other expenses, medic ones going in, or truck 8. There's gonna be things that are routine maintenance as well as things that are breaking on apparatus all the time. So anyway,
What is trucking? Is that a
No.
medic?
that is a medic. Medic 8, medic 9, we call them medic 1, 2, and 3 now. We have reserve medics.
I know the medic numbers. I didn't know.
Okay. Yeah.
So 8 and 9 are actually the medics?
8, 9, and reserve 9 are the medium duty medic units. With some of this new radio stuff or whatever, we've actually relabeled those medic 1 out of station 1, medic 2 out of 2 house, and then we call it medic 3 versus call it reserve medic whatever.
Yeah, I've seen on live cat.
But we retain the rest of our members. So anyway, that's the first one. I have several, of course, we received our grant, and on the agenda it mentions that the new air bottles, air packs are on all the trucks now. With that, we had, and have had for a number of years, our old MSA hip-mounted regulator type self-contained breathing apparatus, which is just the air bottles and the masks that we wear into the fire environment. We've had these locked up in a cabinet and such, but they quit making parts for them. But I have legislation here to rule them as surplus, waive the bidding process for Heath, and allow for the disposal of 27 custom 45. Spells it out, no bottles included, but they're masks and things. Fire Safety, who services our MSA products, don't know of any value to these other than a department that is still using these older systems and maybe would purchase them for parts. No, but
gonna
MSA
put on
does
eBay.
not any longer make parts for these.
Just wants to eBay them.
I'm sorry?
He's gonna try to eBay them.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions? Chief?
If we can't eBay them, is that something we can give to SeaTech?
C-Tech's, well, C-Tech wouldn't take them. They're old enough and parts not being available. Yeah. But, they've got newer stuff than this. Last but not least, along with this, Ralph Swick Lieutenant Swick takes care of my self-contained breathing apparatus stuff and does some repairs in-house. We also have a newer set of self-contained. We have 10 of those that are just the backpacks with no masks or air tanks. But according to fire safety, these are worth between $300 and $500 if we put them on eBay. A total of 10 of those, and I attached a spec sheet or whatever for you that spells out no bottles, no masks, and what they are, plus 35 various pass alarms, which are an alarm that is activated when you go into a toxic environment, and if you become idle or whatever, it will, it goes off and alerts you that you have a down firefighter. And some of those are still in the box brand new, and others are, whether they work or not, but we're gonna put those in on that too, so. And that reads the same way, requesting that it be declared surplus.
Doug?
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? Okay.
Very good. So we've increased the equipment repair fund and surplus equipment disposal. Monthly expense reports. You can see June of last year versus wages were about the same. Overtime was actually less, but our overtime is still up compared to this time last year. But some of that was Spellman and Cause and replacing the new firefighter. We've already talked about the tires on engine 2 were just replaced, front steering tires and some of the other equipment. And then I have truck 7 out here in the parking lot that we'll go take a look at in a little bit if you want. You want a cigarette, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I ain't gonna lie. I'll tell you the truth.
Are you getting?
No, I'm
Oh,
all
okay, I was gonna say,
right.
we'll drag this out for a while. But we'll go look at that in just a minute, Doug.
Okay.
But I have quotes from Matthews. I got one from Chevy, and they're already high. From Coughlin, but since we try to support what we can in the city, Matthews Ford, and they didn't have to compare apples to apples. I'm still waiting for Eric from Matthews to give me completed price, including the snow blade and such from Matthews Ford. These would be a 1-ton vehicle, including the snow blade and everything.
Okay. This is gas, diesel, what is
That
this?
is a diesel. What is it? There's 6.7, I think it is, for diesel.
This is for the medic.
No, this
No,
is
no,
actually.
This is,
This
number
is-
7 is the pickup truck.
Gotcha.
It's got the fuel
Yep.
thing behind it, yeah.
Okay.
We were talking medic unit, and then the mayor
Right to that,
advised
okay.
me to check on
Got it.
replacement of the pickup truck. That's a 1996 vintage. We put a lot of money in it. John Groff indicated to me the other day that he's gonna need a replacement vehicle. And that possibly this, before we would get rid of it, could possibly suit his needs for a while, which,
Does the door fly open when you make a turn?
no.
And that's an upgrade from
That's
what
an
John
upgrade
Groff
there.
had.
And it still has, we have rebuilt, Cause has rebuilt the hydraulics of the snow blade, and
To your left there.
but it does have a snow blade package on it that could be used here at City Hall. You'd mentioned Charlie.
Yeah.
Would probably be
Yeah.
interested in that too.
Yeah.
So
We put some
He was
money in the
using
front end of this
You
thing.
put tires on it recently, and because I needed them, and about $700 in the front end of this truck.
And
And at one time, the doors actually were falling off of it, but Cos rebuilt that stuff. And,
Didn't we
had to
replace the
rebuild it.
ball joints on the front?
Yes. Yeah. That was at $700 plus in front end
Yes.
work, and then Fort Graves had to re-weld, of course, door hinges and.
How many miles are on this vehicle?
36.
I don't know.
We'll find out, okay.
Yeah. We'll look at it, but this is this truck chases the medic. It's in use on a daily basis. It pulls the specialty trailers, it pulls the fire prevention trailer, the foam trailer if it's needed, the water rescue trailer, and as I said, the officer in charge normally chases the medic unit around town when it meets certain criteria.
What year is the model that we currently have?
This is a 96.
A 96.
It's a 96.
Okay.
No, it says that.
All right.
Right, that's what I did, but then they came up with 36.230. Chief, is the plow added in or not?
I'm sorry?
Is the plow in
No.
the 36.230?
No, that's part
Not,
of it.
see.
Yeah, that's what Chief's saying. He's
This is the
waiting on
Dodge
getting back from
quote.
him.
No, but
You've got the
36.264 plus
Plus the
31.40
Yeah.
for a plow?
You got 4
And a
grand.
spray bed.
I don't know, that's what he
Yeah.
was getting me a better price quote on the plow and all that.
These are
That's
state
what-
bid prices?
Yes.
So Ram is not an option, Chevy's not an option?
No, Ram is an option.
Ram is, okay.
Ram is an option. Ram's package with the Cummins diesel, which is
Yeah.
what I would probably recommend, is within about $1,000 of Ford currently. This is, Tri-County gave us a price, 44 out the door with the snow blade and everything.
4 grand more than this one?
I'm sorry,
4,000 more than this one.
Yeah.
I don't know yet until,
If you put the.
I don't have an accurate price from Matthews Ford. That's what Eric is getting me
Yeah.
before, so we can compare apples to apples.
You see that?
Backup camera, which is, I've got that in my vehicle and beneficial. And this isn't this is vinyl seats, vinyl floors, which makes it easier to hose out. This is just an XL model in either one, but it does come with a backup camera, which is instrumental in backing up to these trailers and such that we've got.
Tonight would have been a good night to have Cos at this meeting. His
I-
recommendation is to go with the Ford.
Kaz likes the Ford, but he says it doesn't matter to him.
He's the one that's going to be working on it. So what would you prefer?
Well, let's get him over here.
Go ahead,
We've
call
got
him.
some time.
If he's not on
Is he
the
here
run,
tonight?
let's call him.
Huh?
Yeah, he's on duty tonight.
Took his brand out, the new one in the old.
Let's see if I can get this thing to work.
Want the mayor to work your phone for you.
Yeah, okay.
Phone or computer?
Let's see if the bird will fly out of the nest here on its own.
So the Dodge is at 44, the other one's at 36 plus the
We
3,100.
got 40 grand in the
We got
Ford.
40 in the Ford.
We will, yeah, let me get a price quote. I thought I was just gonna have that, but
East Fire Station 1.
your presence is requested up at the safety committee meeting by the mayor, if you could. And we've got some questions about tires and trucks and everything else. Can you?
Okay,
Would you bring my truck up and we'll see you shortly.
sure will.
Thanks.
Okay, you bet. Bye-bye.
Hey, I made the call.
Good job.
Thanks.
Just as a
I
suggestion,
just don't know how to, yeah.
if you have somebody on speaker, let them know they're on the speaker so they don't say something that they'd otherwise be embarrassed if they didn't know they were on speaker. But other than that, good job, Chief.
I had speakerphones on my other one. Okay, this thing is way smarter than I got, whatever, but it just got so many bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Chief?
So in a nutshell, Chief, let's first talk, before we talk about price of anything new.
Yeah.
What's the need? Why the need?
It's seen better days, it's time to upgrade, it's, need-wise, Mayor, if we're gonna go that, I need a rescue. I need a fire truck.
No, I know. No,
But
I'm just talking about the pickup.
It has seen better days, and you had indicated that we've spent a lot of money on it, therefore,
Yeah.
Time to move on.
yeah.
Well, it's 18
something
years
with-
old. I mean, what does cause? What's his sense as far as what's the next? What the near future holds for that thing as far as?
Well, let's ask him when he gets here.
Okay.
That way. But,
My guess is too, at that age, almost any vehicle that you buy at that age, when they start getting those kind of numbers, the cost for parts actually go up because they're harder to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
and it's just one little thing leads to another.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some corrosion issues. We replaced different things, master cylinder, brakes. But you're going to do that anyway on any vehicle you have. And
Yeah.
these things get run fast and hard, and the mileage that they do get, from a cold running the wheels off of them or whatever. But anyway, let Cause answer some of these questions for you there. That's your best
When
bet.
that door first opened, I thought that was causing it. You see, you'd have to run lights and sirens.
I'm just saying it better hadn't be Cause, but I don't have a key to this room. Oh my! So
you don't have a key to this room?
no, I don't have a key. I don't have
You don't have a
access
key to
City
that door.
Hall. I know you do, right?
No.
You were on your A game tonight.
I know.
Man.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Chief, we have a question back here.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Just, you said it was a 96 model and it seen better days, but, you said it's run every day. What do you do for is there a backup in case, like when it's out getting ball joints or getting master cylinder? Or?
We roll a fire truck.
Oh,
Rescue 6. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Other than my vehicle. That, but
So what
that
happens?
I've usually got.
So what happens if you have to haul the? Isn't there a trailer that's for the
phone
water
trailer.
rescue or the foam applicator? Isn't there?
The
So what would we
foam
do?
trailer is about 14,000 pounds, so it takes everything that 1 ton can do to haul that. The prevention trailer and the water rescue trailer are considerably lighter and can be pulled sometimes by the volunteer trucks. Maybe the water rescue could be pulled by my truck if it had to. It takes a 1 ton to pull the others. But we don't like city units, and
The one-
and it should be pulled.
The one that you have now is not diesel.
no, it was gasoline. And
Fuel tank in the back of it is diesel.
That's correct. And that's whatever
That's-
we buy,
yeah.
we will take that fuel tank and put it in the new
Yeah.
vehicle. That has been. Hi, Cause. Come on in sit down.
How you doing?
They're gonna pick the bones, please. Yeah. They have a lot of different questions.
Okay.
I'm sorry. For you.
Chief can't help us. Pat.
They're asking what I think, and the best thing to do is.
Okay.
You're the man that works on them.
Go ahead. Fire away.
How's getting around?
This, I mean, it's a 96 model, and it's more or less seen the course, right? I mean, you've done a lot of work on it.
Yeah, and it's not in horrible shape, but it's getting there. It's starting to rust in some areas underneath it. It doesn't have a whole lot of miles on it, but I guess
How
the
many
biggest
miles?
thing in that truck, 73,000, 74,000. But here's the biggest thing with that truck. It has drum brakes on the rear, disc in the front. It's a gasoline engine. We pull a lot of heavy trailers. It really is, it's under equipped for braking those type of trailers. If you put the foam trailer on it or the rescue trailer, and it's gonna pull them. And those trailers have electric brakes on them, and this has a controller for them. It's really hard to get those trailers stopped because of the weight. And the reason I'm saying that is everything after, that's a 96, everything after 2001 were a four-wheel disc. So they put disc in the rear, disc in the front. Does everybody know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They use a rotor. The difference is a caliper takes like two times the amount or 4 times the amount of brake fluid as a wheel cylinder. So instead of using shoes against a drum, you're using a caliper where you have 2 pads and it squeezes.
This is why I like to have him.
Much.
And we like having him here too, Chief.
Much simpler to work on too.
Similar to work on, they last longer, and the braking's much more efficient,
Yeah.
especially when you've got a lot of weight. You know, if it was just the truck by itself, that would be fine. But that particular truck we use for everything. It's a utility vehicle. The captains respond in any run the medic needs an assist on, they take that truck. If that truck goes out in the county with the dive rescue team, if we get something that happens at Marathon or one of our plants and need the foam trailer, that truck's automatically going to go. So it's going to be pulling stuff. Plus we have, it's going to pull the kids' house too, the safety trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Also.
What's the frequency of pulling a trailer? Just with that? Once a week?
Really, it's hard to
Twice a
say.
month?
Yeah, it probably at least once a month, but it's hard to say because it's really based on number of runs.
This year, the rescue team has been dispatched at least 10 times already this year.
We talked about the drownings and
Yeah,
the unusual year.
I mean, but not just drownings. Last night, Rankin Road, they had a woman in a car, and the car was sinking. Whatever. They may start down the road. They got canceled. Rankin Road off of 40.
Oh, yeah.
South
High
of
water.
Interstate.
she drove
I'm
through
sorry.
the water.
Yeah,
It
high
was a high
water
water
rescue.
rescue.
But I mean, we get scrambled on. Anytime there's a vehicle in the water, the rescue team gets activated. And part of the rescue team, the main trailer is housed at our department. Besides, well, you're chasing the medic, and we're also sending, a lot of times when Engine 2, which is a 2-man truck, goes to Newark City, which is all the time,
Yeah.
sometimes multiple times in a day, if we have the volunteers or the additional paid staff, we'll put them in 7 and we send them with
As a
Engine
chase
2
vehicle.
to chase
supplement
that engine, to supplement
manpower.
the 2-man fire crew. So not only is it chasing the medic around, but
Cause you talked about some of the problems that this thing's having. John and Eddie have a hunk of junk, basically, that they go around in. Okay. How they don't have to pull trailers, they don't have to, but how, for their purpose, in
Oh,
building and zoning,
Reliable.
how much longer would they be? What kind of life would we get out of it for them and their purpose?
Well, the way it's been maintained now, you could go at least another 5 years, I would think.
Okay.
Because it's different circumstances. If I take that truck out and I'm responding in it, I may be running 50 or 60 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden I've got a brake because I have to make a turn, or
Yeah.
in other
This
words,
is just in town driving,
right.
nothing.
The use we use it on to respond in,
Uh-huh.
it gets much more abuse doing that
Yeah.
than it does if it was somebody's pickup truck and they're driving every day with it.
But the rust situation and it,
It's not bad. It's a couple places underneath the mat. It's got a mat in it. Doesn't have carpet in it. A couple places underneath there, but it's not horrible.
Well,
and there's no
the
holes
floor,
in it.
I was gonna
just
say,
seeing the floor starting to rot out on it.
Yeah, that's where the rust is in the floor.
okay.
And some of that's from moisture just getting in. You know, if it gets a bunch of moisture in the interior
Okay.
and it doesn't dry
Eddie's a
out
big
properly.
fit guy. He can do a Flintstones job.
I'm gonna say better to have them fall through the floor than out the door.
Yeah, that's right. that's true. Yeah, not, you know, because
Sally?
the building and zoning vehicle is in horrible shape. Bob's Jeep, you know, in parks is
Yeah.
not in good shape. I've had my eye on impounds, coming in, and if we were to happen to impound something that would become our property rather than auction it, I would look to try to replace, one or both of those with something like that. But something like this pickup maybe could buy us a few more years. You think?
Oh yeah, yeah. The other thing,
John and Eddie do need to have a pickup truck because of, they'll have to go out. They'll have to walk a creek to inspect the drainage that comes into the creeks. They have to. So they do need to haul some stuff every once in a while. They do need to have a pickup truck.
Is that that's 4-wheel drive vehicle too. The one they have now is only 2-wheel drive.
Two-wheel drive.
Makes a difference.
So in and out of some of those bad spots would be a pretty good one for zoning department.
Okay.
They had questions in regards to the tires, like give them the 10-year explanation.
right? That came up because no one has ever given an answer to how long do you keep tires on fire apparatus. And again, we're talking a whole different ball game. Vehicles we respond in is different than vehicles you drive every single day. I'm really picky with my own stuff. I'm about 100 times more picky with this because I've got people in it, and if something happens to one of them, I feel responsible because I'm the one that's keeping the stuff going.
Yeah.
So I wanted an answer. I called a personal friend of mine at Joe Bucky Tire that owns Joe Bucky Tire, talked to him. We called Michelin, and I talked to some people, talked to TCI. They say 8 years. Joe Bucky Tire told me 8 to 10 years. When I called Michelin, the guy from Michelin called me back, and he said, our recommendation, not only from us, from United Rubber Workers, which is the company that manufactures tires, all the casings, what they're saying is, regardless of what those tires look like, they have reached their useful life at 10 years. Regardless of tread, regardless of what the sidewalls look like, they have reached their life at 10 years. So, and I'm saying,
they talk about what some of the factors were in that. I mean, let's assume that the tread wear is fine. What are some of the other factors that would cause them, that would lead them to say,
what he's saying
is,
life. They tested tires, because I said, well, what about beyond 10 years? And he goes, I can't answer it, because we have never tested any tires past 10 years. But he said, we have tested them up to 10 years, and you've got several things in a tire. It's not only just the tread. You have steel belts in them because they're radials. You have the strength of the sidewall. And in these big tires, you have the amount of weight that sits on them tires on a constant basis. The Tower has a 58,000 pound rear axle in it. So there's 8 tires in the rear, 2 tires in the front. Whether you're driving that truck down the road or not, when that truck sits, it has the weight of the truck plus 300 gallons of water on it all the time. So it is sitting on those tires all the time. And what they're saying is just the fact that it sits there, the stress from the weight of it, let alone driving it, and you make turns in that truck and you basically scuff the first 4 set because it's got double axles. That's the nature of the beast. That's what happens. Some of the tillers have rear turning axles where the rear tires steer, and they do that for a reason, so don't wear the tires out as bad.
Does the rubber harden after so long a time, dry rot or harden?
Yeah, it dry rots, and of course we don't have as much of an issue with that, or not as fast, because it's in a controlled building. It's in a building that's heated. It's not subjected to the weather. But I've got our reserve medic right now. I can show you sidewall cracks all over the front of those. But those tires are off of old Medic 8 that went all the way to Canada. And that truck was a 1997. So those tires are the original tires off that truck that are on Medic 3 right now.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's why we let Granville borrow.
That's the one we let Granville borrow, and I told Chief Hussey, there's cracks in these sidewalls, these tires need to be replaced. no one had ever given us a year.
If they want to replace them, that'd be fantastic.
I think
You
it's,
know,
I think
they-
it's a fair
they use-
reciprocation.
I was gonna
for
say
the-
they
for the-
use that thing.
No, you know
quite
what
a
he
bit.
said? I'm not worried about it. That's exactly what Chief Hussey told me.
Yeah.
Now, they look okay to me, and I showed him. But he said, as a rule, we don't keep any tires longer than 10 years on anything.
Uh-huh.
See, this doesn't apply to your passenger car because you may be replacing them prior to that,
Yeah.
or you may not.
Yeah.
It just depends. But
Yeah.
in fire apparatus, it's different because you're dealing with a lot more weight
Uh-huh.
on the
And
vehicle
stresses.
Yeah.
and the stresses.
Because
So
of the weight of a passenger car and the miles that a passenger car drives, you're going to wear the tread out for long before
Yeah.
you would begin to compromise the
Right.
structural integrity of the tire itself.
yeah, you don't wear these tires may not be worn out now to look at tread, but the other thing that can happen is a tire can delaminate, which means when they build the inner casing of it, they heat the outer, the tread, and it gets pressed onto that. And it literally can start to come off.
Gives away.
Either the tread pieces
Oh, that's where you
can
see
start to come
like
off.
a truck driver loses
Yeah.
a tread.
And those
so
are
that's on the
recaps.
highway.
And that's-
Those are not new tires;
That's
those are
what was
recaps. But
happening to
the same thing can happen to any tire.
I see.
non-recapped tire, the rear tire is on 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I replaced him while he was on vacation, because you could actually take a knife blade and stick in the tread.
Well, the
and
tread
it
was
was-
separated.
It was separated
Chief,
from the
you
case.
replaced all the tires on.
That's correct,
Mhm.
I did.
Okay.
But we are
That was-
looking at
Wait,
we've
what'd you
got
just ask, Doug? Replaced all the tires on what?
the tower.
Tower
The tower.
I
The
thought-
tower's not
replaced
on
all
new
those.
ones.
We made the
Right, I said I was
the
gonna
other night,
replace
yeah.
the initial, just the front tires on it, but
Yeah,
TCI told me,
because that was my report that I gave from the last meeting, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
we went ahead and okayed it for.
Jeff had asked a question, why are we running Michelin's versus Goodyear versus,
Any other
he wants us to run Bridgestones.
He didn't say that.
He's just trying to get you.
I know.
To be honest, from my experience, I've been here since 1982 in that department. Started as a volunteer. The first 12 years I was there. We had our old engines used to have Goodyears in the front of them, and these were, I mean, we're talking trucks from the 70s, but same trucks. They're still heavy trucks. They were pumpers. They had same amount of water. They didn't last. Is the big thing. You wore the tread out faster. We had several. But remember the one on engine 2? Shifted. You ever been in a vehicle that's got a shifted belt in it, where the tread goes sideways and it gets bulges in it and it starts doing this?
Ah.
That was a steer tire on one of our engines. It was a Goodyear. That tire didn't last 2 years, and it was done.
Cars used to do that real bad.
Yeah. So at that point, at that time, that was Chief Padar. At that time, he started replacing everything with Michelin, and we never had the issue again. So my opinion only, take it for what it's worth. They wear better. I have a set of Michelins on every single vehicle I own, and I just bought a truck, and I'm going to buy another set and put on the truck. Yes, they are more expensive, but they're a better tire and they last longer. So, I mean, that's my opinion, but some of
Yeah.
it is practical experience.
Well, I
Any
mean,
idea
yeah.
cost-wise what a Goodyear tire of that same size versus a Michelin cost, state bid? Is there that much difference, or?
Probably not. There is some, I'm sure, but I don't know how
Weight
much.
loads and everything else. I'll look it up for you. If I try to get you an answer.
Just ask them.
I understand. No, but
Yeah,
We're
I'll
spending
tell you.
taxpayer money. Let's ask the question.
and I'm
I just I think they're
I'm
a
not
better
upset.
tire, and I think you're going to get much
You
more.
got a
weight.
better track record. You've
I
got
just-
a proven history
I would
with
like to know
Michelin,
that.
and that's
Yeah.
what you're
How
comfortable with.
much?
Well, they are. I mean, they've
Always
lasted
run.
much longer
I'm just
on
programmed to
even the
ask
medics
multiple
than
bids. I'm
the
just
original
programmed
medics
that way.
didn't come with Michelin's on them.
So
Yeah.
you're always
They
gonna
came
hear
with
me ask,
Goodyear and they didn't
how
last.
about this
Now,
one, how about that one? Just like the
You
truck.
might be aware that
I'm always gonna ask
there's
you.
that Goodyear is opening an R&D location down in Hebron shortly. So maybe we could be some sort of a pilot department for the improvement of their heavy-duty tires. Something to think about, Chief.
Yeah.
They'll cut us a break.
What's this now?
You know the new manufacturing building built just south of McDonald's down in Hebron. Goodyear's going to locate there. They're doing R&D work down there, and when are they looking to open? Ken, you know? Yeah. Anyway, I'm just saying it might be scary. Yeah. Maybe they need
That's a good connection.
Yeah.
That's an Ohio company.
Yeah, well, I'm also thinking it'd be nice if the pickup that we'd have to spend a few $1,000s more probably, but it'd be nice if the pickup that we got had a compressed natural gas
Tank in it.
tank made by Experion.
Built in Heath, Ohio. What a concept.
Yeah. Trouble is, there's only one place to fill it up around here, and that's down by the YMCA.
Yeah.
It's the only place I know of.
1 ton pickup, Ford versus.
Yeah, I want to pick your brain on this too.
Ford
Because I've
versus
told
the
them
Dodge.
that you.
Yeah, I mean,
You like the Ford.
I'm kind of hearing he may like the Dodge, you like the Ford. You're the guy that needs to work on these things. What are you comfortable with?
Both of them are proven. Ford's had more issues with their diesels than the Cummins, which is what's in the Dodge, and that was my other point. This pickup's a gas pickup truck.
Yeah.
Gas pickup trucks pulling the kind of weight I'm talking about, you beat gas engines to death doing that.
Oh yeah.
That's a fact of life. A gas engine is good for approximately 100,000 miles under normal driving conditions. When you take a truck like that and start pulling big heavy trailers and all that, you wear them out. They wear out much quicker. So that truck initially in '96 when it was Spectrum should have been a diesel.
Because if you had your druthers, would it be the Dodge? Would it be the Ford?
If it was me, I'd probably buy the Dodge with the Cummins in the Allison.
Okay.
I mean that's the only because, and I don't dislike the Ford, but I had an 05, and an 05 I pulled my fifth wheel with it. I bought it brand new, had a 6-liter diesel in it, and I didn't have it. It only had 15,000 miles on it when I got rid of it because all I did is go camping in it. But if I was going to keep it, there were so many inherent problems with that. I was going to end up pulling the engine out of it and making the repairs myself because when you reached a certain mileage, the engines just came apart. And Cummins does not have that issue, and they never have. None of them.
What are the warranties on these vehicles, one versus the other?
Ford has got they're comparable. 3 years, 36 bumper to bumper on everything. Ford offers a 5-year, 100,000 solely on the diesel engine. Cummins and Dodge gives you a 336, but the entire drive line, including the Cummins engine, is 5 years, 100,000.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You don't pay extra for it.
No,
Comes
that's
with it.
standard.
Part of it.
Standard with the Dodge, and as I said, Ford will give you the 5-year, 100,000 solely on the diesel engine itself, but the rest of the drive line runs out at 36,000.
See, the other thing, a Cummins engine have been in over-the-road trucks for years and years and years. Ford, that was a joint venture with International. That's how that engine came about. That was not Ford's design. That was a Ford International. Ford went to International, said, can you build us an engine for a pickup truck? And that's the design they came with. The early ones, the 7.3s, were great. They were indestructible. Then they went to a 6-liter, then they went to a 6.4, now they have a 6.7, and they've had issues with each one of those. And the problem is, well, as a good example, Granville has Fords, right? With the cab over with the diesels in them. They've been back there, I don't know how many times. They just had one down there and had a radiator put on it 2 days ago. That's why they
work on them.
What, I'm sorry. What did you just say?
The Ford diesel.
Okay.
Ford diesel.
That's what Granville has in the medics. Yeah.
That's what we were looking at.
Yeah.
Right.
They have
the
the cab
van.
overs too, which are even much harder.
They've got
to
the
work
van
on.
type. We were looking
The
at
van
the other
type.
one.
Yeah. We were looking more at like the trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting to
All the van types are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, even those guys don't want to work
You
on
get the bigger, better boats, I'm talking about 30, 40 footers. Cummings and cat diesels, all thing they'll put in there.
Mhm. Yeah, so, and we've got internationals in there.
Yeah, every time we wanna buy something, he needs to be in here.
Well,
For-
when
for
we
big
go to buy
trucks.
something,
For big
he's
trucks.
always included on our end.
I know, but it's nice to hear it from an oversight perspective, because this guy's a head full of knowledge about it. No offense, but this guy,
Oh, no, that's.
you can drill anything at him and he's got it.
Yeah, he does. And when you work on him like he has for years,
Right.
he knows them inside and out.
And that's a plus for us, without a doubt.
That's what
We're-
I give,
we're looking
I
at
give
it.
him a treat now.
That's why I want to hear him say what he would prefer to get. Because he works on them.
I would say the same thing.
Well, he
If I
just-
was gonna buy a diesel engine, it'd be a Cummins. It would not be a
The
Ford.
majority of the guys at the station have said either go with the Chevrolet, their Duramax, whatever,
Yeah.
or the Cummins. And I would say everybody hands down the Cummins.
But you prefer the
Long
Ford.
history.
You-
No, no, no.
No. He
No.
he preferred the. I thought Cos preferred the Ford.
You prefer, okay.
But I
So
guess
we
that's
got
not the
no-
case.
No, not for what, not because of their history of engine issues now. Supposedly this new one, you know, knock on wood, they haven't had any trouble with. But there again, if you buy one in a pickup truck and use it daily, that's completely different than sticking that in a truck that not only runs all the time, but sits and idles all the time.
Yeah.
You know, when we're in a house with a patient, you don't shut those trucks off.
Yeah.
Because if it's wintertime, you're keeping the back warm for the patient and so forth. You want to let those trucks sit and idle. And it's a diesel, to be honest with you, with technology nowadays, you can run those trucks for hours and use thimbles full of fuel.
Yeah.
Use hardly anything. Because the computers and the injectors are so precise in those now, they're not like old smelly diesels like you're used to looking at down the road with the black smoke. That's all gone. This is all clean diesel technology now. So you're running this stuff, and it doesn't hurt to run it.
And the
And you
thing
don't
of
use
it,
any fuel.
you know, like in New York, they've got signs along it where these guys pull into the truck stops and they tell them to shut them down.
Right.
You know, because those guys would pull in and they just let them run. Hell, they go to sleep for 6-7 hours. No, most of the truck stops are telling them
Yeah.
to shut them down.
Well, let me zing through this before you go out and look at 7, and then we can point out some of the high spots. But under training, don't have anything on personnel. We talked about 7, nothing on personnel. Renewing the online training that we've been doing, and that just gives you a heads up that we're going to redo the contract with that again. Marathon meeting training. We've gone up. We're going to incorporate some training here in the very near future. Marathon's getting ready to run some of the Utica Shale crude oil down here. It's kind of an experiment, and it's kind of volatile. It's got a lot of suspended gases and such, butanes, pentanes, and all that. They're going to ship it in from Finley and put it into a kerosene tank up here, and they just wanted to give us a heads up ahead of time because it is a volatile type component. So anyway, yes, sir.
Is it coming by truck or rail or what?
No, they're pipelining it.
Pipeline.
Yeah. But it's going to off gas, and so there's always the extra potential versus. Anyway, it's her, what's his name, Dugan, up there, the site manager, or whatever. It's kind of a marathon experiment. So they just wanted to give us a heads up, and so we're going to do a little bit of training, and we're going to lay out some hose and draft out of the 1 million gallon reservoir and set up on a tank as if we were having a scenario.
Is this a Wednesday night deal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lay a couple 1,000-foot of 5-inch hose, that'll. So anyway, just giving you a heads up on that. Fire software, I apologize, but it is still not in service. Warren has said that no problem with it being online by the first of the month, but that waits to be seen. But the guys are working on it, and they got into a lot more programming stuff than they thought initially. Self-contains are on the truck. The med bill meeting, all that is Eileen said it's been a while, and I just threw that on here. She said it's been a while since I met with council, and she said that was something I always do every year, and she likes to do that and bring everybody up to speed, and so she said it's okay for me to mention something to you about maybe.
Brian, you want us to invite her to a future meeting?
Yeah, no, I think you should.
Yeah, she's just like keep everybody informed. Like,
An update,
what's
It's been a
going
great
on.
partnership with her.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes,
we do.
it'd be fine
Great
if you get that done.
Fire levy under old business. What are we gonna do?
Gotta do something. I think that, it needs to be, we need to bring both of the 1 and 2 up to the level that they should be, and I honestly believe that we ought to look at, the possibility of another levy, a 5-year levy. But I don't know.
As I remember the figures, Doug, I think that's too much money. I think when we looked at the information chief, if we put what was it?
If we put a 1 mil levy on for 5 years,
that would
it
raise
would
the same
generate
amount of
more
money
money
as if
than
we-
bringing the levies up. There would be a lot less confusion, and at 5 years,
Yeah.
it would have to be voted on again by the taxpayers.
Here's what I think we
It would
do.
cost 37.
In my opinion,
I don't care what you do.
I think we
gotta
leave.
do something.
Well, yes. I think we leave the existing levies where they're at.
Okay.
Okay. Let's put a 5-year levy on that we know will generate enough money over that period of time for us to handle some of these equipment replacement needs that we know are, we've got the rescue truck, we've got a couple of medics. Within the next 5 years, I mean, those are 3 slam dunks right there. And probably the other fire truck up in Station 2?
One engine.
It's a 99.
Yeah.
2 engines,
An engine, one's
at
a
least 2
91,
medics.
so-
Yeah.
I mean,
Command
I can
vehicle.
keep them going, but the biggest problem with the rescue is the rust.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the tank supports and a
Yeah.
truck.
Mayor, we've got to get it done before August 6th. It has to be in before August 6th.
Well, here's what would need to happen. I think I would advise you, let's get this on the city council agenda for next Monday for first reading. It is the 6th. That's the cutoff, right, Ken?
August
Okay.
6th.
August 6th.
So then you've got your next council meeting on Monday the 4th.
Right.
If everything gets approved there,
Yeah.
we take it to the Board of Elections on the 5th. And but the reason why I suggest we leave the 2 levies that we have right now alone is our biggest need is the capital improvement and equipment expenditures coming up.
you're right.
All right, let's
You're
not complicate this for
Just go
the
one way.
voters.
I didn't really care. I just think that we need to do something, and I
Yeah.
just wanna see us do it.
My suggestion is we put the 5-year, we put a 5-year levy on the ballot. And, we say, look, this is 5 years.
Yeah.
As we approach the end of that 5 years, if I'm still the mayor, I'll make sure that we reevaluate what the needs are. If 5 years from now we've spent, we brought in the equipment and replaced things well enough that maybe we can bump the millage down
Yeah.
and put it back on the ballot, then we will. If we've done what we need to do and we don't need it anymore, we won't ask for it.
Right.
We know that in the next 5 years, we're going to have to make major purchases. And so, but let's not commit everything beyond that. Let's plan for what we need to do what we need to do, and then we can reassess the plan after that period of time and determine what direction
So
we
we
go.
can get that on the agenda for next Monday.
I would recommend that you approve a legislative request to put that on, to have that ordinance drawn up and to have that legislation ready for Monday.
So we need to.
What kind of millage are we talking?
1 mil was what was figured.
1 mil.
1 mil, and that was generating
1 mil.
1.3 or something.
It's 1.3, I think it's right.
I said,
It was gonna-
I want to go with that. I want to
1
begin
mil
it.
would generate.
I'd
I can't
support
tell
it
you
beginning
generating,
and
but
Yeah.
it was gonna cost $100,000 homeowner $37.
It's got a beginning and end, we reassess.
That was
said,
Brad Cottrell's quote to me per $100,000 home. Whatever.
So, how is our ISO rating impacted by the age of our equipment?
So what do you have to write on
As long
that?
as it can pass pump testing and.
That's what they base it on.
Yeah.
If these will pass pump,
They
there
don't
was
look,
a
do they
time.
look at the age of this in any way and say, you got.
As long as you have annual
fleet,
pump
Now,
testing.
if you do the pump test and it passes that pump test,
They
that
don't care if
engine's
it's
still in service.
1960.
Nope.
No.
It has to pump the rated capacity that pump's rated for.
Okay.
There's several stages, and they do it at different RPMs, and they do it at different discharge nozzles. And you do that, you do one size tip, and you change the tip and do it again, and you change the tip and do it again, and there are 4 different stages, and if it passes them all, it
So
could be a
we got a
1950.
top ISO rating. What rating do we have?
We have a 5, which is what the majority of the fire departments in the country have. 1 is a perfect, 10 is no fire protection at all. We have a 5, we're within a couple of points of being a 4. And
What is that?
that just means it's a little bit better fire protection.
No, I mean, what are we lacking?
Um,
I'm off on a tangent.
Some
here,
of
but-
it's people, because ISO's based on personnel too, as well as equipment, hydrants. There's a lot of things they look at.
Chief, you taking off?
I was just thinking
I'll see you
about
tomorrow.
from
Any
an
other
equipment
questions?
standpoint.
Right,
All right, fine.
right.
Is the existing equipment
I'll see you tomorrow.
impacting our ISO rating, which impacts everybody's homeowners?
The only way it would is if we had a pump that wouldn't pass.
Okay, all right, you
And at
answered
that
those
point,
questions, okay.
And the impact of ISO ratings, there is an impact on homeowners insurance rates.
Right.
There's a greater impact on business insurance rates.
Well,
Industrial,
everybody.
Yeah, industrial.
Yeah, that's where it
they,
really
they could
makes an
see
impact.
a substantial by dropping down. But I know Heath is one that's always said, it doesn't have any impact, and
Well, sure.
it does. But,
Mhm.
but
What is it gonna be?
more industrial and commercial versus homeowners. If we, in order to make an impact on homeowners, and State Farm has
Brian,
totally
if you
done away
want,
with the ISO.
We can work on that
They've
this
got
week.
their own formula.
Put it
that
on
they
the finance committee agenda, but
figure.
we'll already have
But
yours
a lot of the other
drawn
ones
up,
still use
assuming
ISO.
approval.
But a 3,
I'm just trying to look at all the
We'll
different
have it on the
angles that I can
agenda.
think
Wanna do
of
that?
I'll sign it.
with this
Okay,
equipment and
just
how
so
it's
we
going
can
to
make
help.
sure that the
Yeah.
wording of it is correct.
Right.
When we-
I'll talk to David.
Assuming we get this levy
You
passed,
just call me, I can stop by and sign it anytime.
comprehensive spreadsheet on what timeline for purchases, and let's make sure.
it's hard to do a 5 or a 10-year when you don't have any idea what monies are coming in and all.
We will, November, whatever.
Understand.
Hard to tell.
We'll have much good. But let's make sure that his expertise is.
What do you think?
Deb, Cletus, Tim, what do you guys think about that strategy?
Pass a levy?
Yeah, I would like to make sure that what the 1 mil generates and how much based on a house it actually does cost, just reconfirm those figures to have them for finance,
Okay.
so that if someone asks, you're not,
I've got that.
That's
you
same-
assume that, you know,
Same sheet I
current.
sent you guys.
We've got it here.
Uh,
Which was
somewhere.
1.3.
Because last time we talked, I ran some numbers on my stuff and something wasn't making sense. You know, we had all this discussion about increase and doing this, and I ran numbers based on my house and other people's houses, and it wasn't coming out right. You know what I mean? The amount it said it would be for 100,000 a home, something wasn't working out right. I don't know if I wasn't using the right conversion factor or something, but
As far as
something-
our existing now,
well, the existing now and then the increase, remember we had all those things, well, if you bumped them back up to current millage, so the one would become 1.5, the other, it was gonna be, generate this much, and it cost this much more, and those factors didn't make the same sense as a new 1 mil. You know what I mean? It like I said, I was doing.
Where
a
did you get
spreadsheet,
that
it didn't work
information
out.
I got it from the auditors, Licking County, Brad Cottrell.
Yeah.
I've got it on the computer saved.
Yeah,
I
just-
hope, let's put it.
Just reconfirm it. I mean,
Yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
I
Just
understand what you're
reconfirm,
saying.
say, hey, if we
Did you
did this.
lose
you know.
any files on,
I don't believe so.
with your virus or whatever?
No, they backed up off the tape.
Okay.
That's what I was told.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You said we were just a few points away from a 4 on the fire rating. What would that, is there any way to know what that would do how would, if we got to the 4, would that offset any part of this $37 additional? I mean,
Talking
part of
with,
it could be free, that'd be great.
I was talking with a nationwide insurance agent, and they told me that unless you saw a dramatic, like drop it to a 3, the average homeowner wouldn't see that much of a difference. And that's as far as I got answer-wise, but it's industry that would see the bigger picture. But I know the Port Authority always said, you drop to 4, make sure we know it, immediately and all that. But that's some information I can look up for you too. I mean, it's just, it'd be interesting to see to offset the cost.
That's what I had heard also, that from a homeowner's
It
insurance
wouldn't be that
perspective, it's not that big of a deal.
I was telling
But
Jeff,
from a,
State Farm they don't even recognize ISO anymore, but they've got their own region, incidences in that region and all that versus basing it off of the insurance service. Let's see. Okay, well, good. Who is going to take care of that? Because
We're getting it drafted up this week.
Yeah.
And then
We'll
I'll come
get
back.
with
It's gonna be
David.
sponsored.
I can't do anything
No.
about it, but.
We'll get it drafted up and I'll sponsor it and make sure that it's on the, we'll make sure
it'll
it's on the
go through
council's-
finance committee on Monday, it'll be on council's agenda
For
on
the
Monday,
first reading.
first reading. And
Very
then the
good.
second reading of it would be August 4th.
When do we have
Again,
to have
the
it
wording
to
of this is, this is gonna be for capital improvement and equipment expenditures.
Right.
When do we have to have it certified to the Board of Elections? By
By the
August?
6th.
4:30, August the 6th.
So we'll have 2 days. We
So
don't,
the
we
next day,
don't,
we
no
take
need
it
to
to
waive
the
the,
Board of
we're not
Elections.
gonna waive the second on it, we'll just let it roll.
We just let it roll, unless David suggests otherwise, I don't see why we just don't let it roll.
Okay.
Yeah,
Something as important as that, I'd want a second reading.
I
So
agree.
would I.
We're talking about taxpayers,
You're talking about
No,
we're talking about
bucks.
money, serious money, you want a second reading.
Yep.
Under new business, EMS grant, it's something we apply for every year. It's been about 2,400 or whatever this year. We were awarded $4,250. So that will go. I told you I was going to buy a couple AEDs and all. And of course, the next number 2 cot purchase, kind of like the tires, are cots that look brand new.
We had issues with a lady on it today again. Almost couldn't get it in the truck. We had a lockup with a patient on it, and I mean, you couldn't move. There's a lever that you push before you can pull the handle to either raise it up and down or put it in the truck. I had to bring the reserve medic over. We had to swap costs. We got it back there, and when something had happened, when they pushed the lever, some linkage was worn out, and it locked all the linkage up underneath the cot.
Sure wouldn't go up or down.
Yeah, it wouldn't move. It was stuck up.
These cots were just serviced a week ago
Yeah, and then
By who?
well,
by MSAR, but who was in this area reputable or whatever. Our cots have got a useful lifespan of 7 years when you read the fine print, and 2 of our 3 cots are beyond that 7 year.
and one of them's an 04, so one of them's 10 years old. One of them's an 07, and the other one I think is an 04 or an 06. Or
Yeah,
did we buy 2
still
at the
have-
same time?
Yeah.
Maybe it's 2 07s or 2 04s.
And
Yeah.
these
How much
cots
are those cots?
about 7,000. It's cheaper. Anyway, that being said, yeah, they're ridiculous expensive.
Yeah.
I had in the last month, I had Stryker in again, and they showed us the power cot. I mentioned about finding grant monies and things because we're dealing with heavy patients.
You're talking about the
Very
forklift
accurate.
thing or the crane thing, the
This
winch.
no, this is actually a power cot that lifts. The problem with some of the bariatrics is you still have to, with your manpower, lift these heavy patients up versus, and with the ramps, you've got to drop the cot down and then pull it up into the squat. Some of these cots will actually raise and lower themselves with
battery packs or whatever. Price tags on those cots are about $15,000, over $15,000. However, Bureau Workers Comp right now, and it's an open-end deal, they're financing well over 50% of the purchase price on
It's
these
almost
cots.
cheaper to buy
You
those.
can buy power cots.
Okay, so you talked about maybe getting a medic unit that had the winch in it. This cot would eliminate the need for that.
This cot would eliminate the ramping.
It would save our
setup.
backs basically.
Now,
because the wheels come up, the whole frame comes up.
Okay.
as I said, I had to
Push
come
it in
in
the
and
back of the medic.
do a demo that they locked down. By 2016, all cot brackets are going to have to be revised because there's a new standard coming out in 2016 for a 24G rollover, and our cot brackets won't fit or won't function in that capacity. And also, there's a lot of things out there.
You said 24G.
24
Now I
Gs,
take that
rollover.
to mean 24 times the force of gravity.
That's correct.
What on?
Meteor.
I was going to say, what on earth? What on earth would produce 24 times the force of gravity?
What did Officer Fisher experience when he got hit out here at the intersection? Do you remember? Tony Shepard had given us.
I don't even know if it hit double
G-forces.
digits.
It was pretty high for just spinning around. This is a EMS unit actually involved in a rollover accident or whatever, and they're building these DOT standards and things to accommodate some of this. I got this from the striker lady. It's the first I've heard that. Anywho,
I mean, I'm trying. I don't even know if a fighter jet can do 24 Gs.
well, the pilot can't. That's for sure. So anyway.
Neither would a patient.
Anyway, there is, through the Bureau of Workers' Comp, 50% or greater on some of these that we're checking into. But I also found a company besides MSAR that tells me that they will repair. MSAR said that our COTS parts are no longer available. The other company I found, they're just starting into Ohio, but they claim that that's not true. They can get parts and they can recertify our COTS for at least another 7 years. I've got to get back with. So anyway.
Wow.
See, that's a little contradictory. The reason being is, I was there when MSAR came in and we told them about this issue with the cot. And here's what they said. Stryker made a cot that has an H-frame. Our cots are H-frame cots, which means when that cot comes up, you've got two frames this way. So you got a bottom set of legs, an H-frame, and then the top. The new ones are all X-frames, all of them. And they said they're doing that because they're more durable, they will withstand patient weight better, and you're not busting the pieces off of them. The H-frame cots, that's the reason Stryker eliminated them, and they did that because some of the brackets on the cots, literally, they were shearing the brackets off. Some of that is due to the design of it because of it's an H-frame. The other part of it is we're transporting people that are 300, 400, 500 pounds. You know, our cots right now will go to 650.
And that's in the lower.
And that's all the way down. That's not up.
These hydraulically operated lifts will do 700 pounds whether they're down, whether they're up,
Yeah.
whatever. So anyway, I mean, unfortunately, this is the clientele that we do deal with, and they're not just in the nursing home complexes; they're in residences that we're dealing with, and homes aren't built, stairs aren't designed to get these people, and if we can get something that can pick up and lower without one workers' comp claim, I don't know whether we're still paying for Mr. Evans, who went out on a back injury, but anyway.
How many cots do you have, and how many do you need replaced?
Three.
There's
Three,
still
one in
three.
each medic.
One in each.
And
One
they're all three
reserve and
coming up
one.
and need replaced, need to look at it.
Eventually.
They are all, the newest one I believe is in 07. I have to look at the dates. One of them I know, one's in 07, one's in 04. The third one I'm not sure about.
By 2016,
Double
there's a lot
check
more money in
this,
exchanges that need to be made. I mean, is that something that it needs to be done now? I mean, you need to do
Some
that
of this
now?
stuff, at least a cot is gonna need to be, I wanna find out what this company can do, if they can recertify these cots. If so, that buys us some time, whatever. And while we're doing that, we're gonna take a look at, if we're gonna buy a cot, do we buy a power lift cot?
It's gonna be cheaper.
In a system, yeah, it actually is
If
cheaper
you're gonna
right
get
now just to
50%
buy.
back.
But there's several things going on, and in the last month, I've been researching
And,
this.
and I want to make sure I'm asking this right. If we were to get one of those power lift cots with the help of a grant or a
Bureau
whatever,
workers
that you're
comp,
talking-
Bureau
yeah,
workers comp.
we would not then have the need for the winch system in the medic itself.
Well, I don't know, the winch system, the bariatric system?
I don't know if I'm describing it right, but you know what I'm talking
Like
about.
Courtesy
know it.
has.
Yeah.
Courtesy has one.
I would love to have this thing come in and let you see, but yes, it would be, yes, we could get by without the winch system.
There's additional benefits to the winch system. By the sounds of your hesitation in your voice, you would still like to have the winch system. I just say what you
No,
need. I want to say
the
it.
winch system is crude, but the cheapest way to go.
Yeah.
Do you remember, Doug, how much were those, when we were looking
I
at
was
those
thinking it was
squads?
like $3,000 or something, 3 or 4.
Does that sound right?
Does that sound right?
Too high?
Not even close to money wise. I've been told anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000.
Wait, to get one of these things in a medic? To get one of these?
To get a loading system.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
mean
yeah,
the
they're
winch
big
system?
bucks.
I didn't think.
Cause you have to have a loading
I
ramp and
didn't think
everything.
that's
That's,
right.
Courtesy's the only one
The
right now that
ramps
has
are
one.
the cheapest way to go. You've got loading ramps and a power winch that you
Drag it up.
Well, that's what I thought.
literally drag it up or whatever.
That's
Some
what
of
I
them
was
have got
thinking it was.
Hydraulic
Are we-
lifts and things.
Are we doing an overlay for these new style of medics we're looking to potentially, with passage of this levy, these new
When we were looking at
power lifts will take care of these, they'll fit okay?
when we were looking at a couple of
The new
new medics, we were talking about
No
this.
problem?
No problem. Yeah, famous last words.
We were talking about this need for
They're
being able to
designed.
handle people of excessive weight.
Say this a large.
Yeah, and no, gosh, I don't remember.
I don't remember that kind of price. No
But-
way.
I don't remember it.
I don't
No,
remember it being
I was thinking that it
$20,000
was
just to-
it was something that you hooked onto the car, and you operated the thing, and it went up the ramps, and the thing itself to pull it up.
Yeah,
in.
like a
I
winch.
was thinking it was $3,000 or $4,000, Chief. It was just, I mean, maybe you were looking at something else. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, and we may be, yeah. Anyway,
Regardless, that's what they cost.
Yeah.
we will. Okay.
Well,
So anyway.
Given that we're looking to replace medics in the future, let's make sure that whatever we're specing now is nice and adaptable to these downsized medics in the future.
Right.
How long is the deal good for workers' comp? I mean, keep wanting to go back to
It
the
has
cops.
been an open end grant according to Allison with Stryker, and they've been very receptive to this because they can see there's reduced back injuries and the service and such. But there's a lifting system. There's a power cot that will roll up to any cot. This is what you're
Any
asking.
medic.
Any medic, and you can load it in, and
Okay.
they're taking the load as far as lifting capacity and rolling up, and then a couple guys stand in the back and hold it while it retracts its legs up. There's also a lifting system that's an additional about $30,000. So when you put the two together, you're looking at a $50,000 that grabs the cot, pulls it in, locks it down, and meets this rollover standard and all that she demonstrated for us. But the cot itself, just the power lift cot, will, and that's about a little over $15,000. And all this stuff is funded. A a large portion of it through workers'
And
comp.
the standard cot, just to replace the standard non-power lift cot is
About 7
about 7, so.
for the new X5.
She said right now it's cheaper to buy a
Like you
power
said,
lift cot than it is a
One
conventional,
worker's comp claim pays
manually
for that.
operated.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
What's that, I'm sorry?
You said one workers' comp claim, did you?
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, she told me that on the phone. Because we're
That's why they want to
paying
pay.
so much of it.
That's why they
Yeah.
want to pay.
Well, it's easier, you don't have claims because it's easier on everybody's back. I mean, it takes 4 guys to, if it's a heavy patient, it takes 4 of us to load them.
Mhm.
Because once you release that handle, 2 guys have to get out and lift the legs up.
Yeah.
Then you gotta lift all the legs up so everything can be, and then some guy in the back is supporting the end of it, all the weight of it. The wheels are on the floor of the medic. And then they have to be lifted up and then everything's shoved in. I've done it, I'll tell you.
What's
You know,
4 guys lifting a 550-pound woman? How much on top of the cot and everything else? You gotta.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say that.
What was that?
Not sound like a joke. I was waiting for the punch.
But this is the size clientele that
G-forces there.
we deal with pretty regular. And it's just,
Well, they changed the inner tubes at the pool.
what?
They upgraded the inner tubes at the pool for the lazy river. My son works there as a guard. They're all big now. They went to a big size because, unfortunately, people would not fit the other ones. And the people that are in there now, I pity those people if they have to get anybody out of there because they may not be able to. They're getting out of Lazy River and they can't get on the tubes. They fall onto the tubes. I mean, literally, they fall backwards on the tubes. And all the guards, everybody's trying to stand them back up off the tubes. So that's where we are right now.
So anyway, that I just wanted to bring that to your attention. That's something out there that we're investigating and still checking into that. And as I said, in the last month, we have had someone in. I still want to look at what Furno has to offer and dragging her feet, but eventually we're going to have to purchase a cot.
Is this something that we would have enough room in that levy to utilize some of that money if we could get that passed?
If that levy
If
passed
that passes, yeah,
down the road, yes,
there's some room there
but some of that's going to have to happen.
before.
Yes.
Okay.
And just trying to decide whether we buy manual, we buy power, whatever. But I'm just saying, down the road, there's standards are going to change and such. Last but not least, right, Mark's grant. I checked again today. That was supposed to have been posted. There's supposed to be. We talked about this before. The Marks people, the radio system. There is supposed to be a grant out there through the state fire marshal's office that will help pick up the user fees that's required for the radio system. It was supposed to have come out Friday. It wasn't on the website Friday. It is not on the website today. I called the fire marshal's office and Chief Flowers, the fire marshal, has my number and is supposed to give me a call, and I want to find out where and why. And we will write, as John Mason said, they're going to put some radios in console. The mayor and I had a discussion in regards to not having communication issues, so I too am going to put a Marks radio in our base at Station 1. I'm going to put it in my vehicle, and I'm probably going to have about 6 walkie-talkies programmed, so at least our officers have walkie-talkie capability that will talk on the Marks radios. Our radios, I'm told, are programmable, so we don't have to buy any of the radio equipment.
The grant would help offset the.
Our 800s, the 800 that's in my truck, the 800 that's in the station can all be programmed to Marks, but the user fees, and I had the second in command of the Marks at the station last Tuesday night, and he said next year the user fees are $20 a unit. So there's
That's
going to be
per
a cost. That's per month per radio, per walkie.
Yeah.
So 6 and 2, 8. 8 times 60, or excuse me, 8 times 20.
160
Yeah.
times 12.
That is the cost just to use the mark system. But this grant can be written to pay for that, to buy equipment or pay for user fees. I have no idea, Mayor. You have as much information on that as I do right now. And I don't know whether you could write that to benefit with what offset the costs on the radios that we're putting in the base. If it will buy, but I know it's, for the number of people that are going to apply for it, they only funded it with $3 million, but I guess it's gonna be competitive and all, but because we already have the equipment and our needs are small compared to, because those Sparks radios can run anywhere from, can get them at 1,000, but it's about $3,500 to $4,500 a piece. And that's just another reason.
Big ticket items that keep bouncing around in my ear.
Chief, if I can
Gee,
come back to the EMS grant
Yes, sir.
award, it was a $250,000 grant that was awarded.
No, 4,250.
Okay, I heard 250,000.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I wish it was.
$50,000. I want to make sure I get this right.
It's a lot of
in my notes,
AEDs.
Yeah, I know. I have talked about a lot of big stuff tonight, but
It's better.
yeah, it was
It's not better, but I like my number. I like my number better.
$4,250 for the
Got it.
the state EMS grant.
Okay. Wow.
And that
Got it
just-
all. Right.
So that's all I have. Any other questions? Oh,
you know, you
clear
got a very
as mud.
expensive agenda tonight.
Yes, I do. Any more questions for Captain Cobb?
Thank you, Bob.
Now,
You're welcome.
before
Appreciate
we,
it, Ted.
we're going to adjourn from here, but we're going to go to the parking lot and take a look at the squad, right? Are we going to be?
The fire truck, or the pickup truck.
Are we reconvening back in here or no? We're done, right? So we're just going
I-
to adjourn from here and then go to the
Well,
parking lot.
I'd like to give you guys an update on negotiations.
Oh,
You guys,
executive session?
So we're going to have to go to executive session when we come back in.
it'll be quick.
Okay. Yeah, we heard that.
We met with, you know,
Okay, out to the
last
Quick,